Hello, everyone. In our revision lesson today, let's use the paper that we had in May-June 2023, variant 3B for A2 Sociology, paper 3 Education. Now, this paper is of 50 marks and you get 1 hour and 15 minutes to attempt this paper. These 50 marks are divided into 4 different questions that are of 4 marks, 8 marks, 12 marks, and 26 marks respectively. You add them all together, this turns out to be 50. Remember, you do not get any choice in your CIs when it comes to paper 3. Now, without any further ado, let's discuss this 4-mark question that we had in this particular year, in this particular paper. And towards the end of the video, I would like to discuss why students should not be underestimating any typical 4-mark question. Because what I've seen is many students, they not only underestimate the value of this 4-mark question, but they do not give it the due respect it deserves, which otherwise could be very beneficial when it comes to their preparation. So to begin with, this question over here reads, describe 2 examples of how education contributes to the economy. Now, a typical 4-mark question usually expects you or usually asks you to describe any 2 things. A typical 4-mark question usually expects you to describe any 2 things. Now, for this 4-mark question, it should be treated like 2 different questions of 2 marks each. By doing this, this helps you ensure that you are not letting go of or you're not throwing away any mark at all. So the first example, we will write worth 2 marks. We leave a line there. In another paragraph, we would write down another example. How do we get marks over here? You get the first mark for identification and you get the second mark for description. In other words, even if you just write this part, you would get a single mark. But for you to get the second mark for it, you would be expected to you'd be expected to describe it. Now, a frequently asked question over here is, are we expected to give sociological material here? No, you are not. You're not expected to give any sort of sociological material to this. You're not expected to write down any sociological reference, any empirical study, so on and so forth. Now, taking this a step further, let's read out the question again. The question over here reads, describe 2 examples of how education contributes towards the economy. Amongst these different options that the CIE has given us, we could use, I'd personally want to use this point. The point over here reads, the role allocation job that the education system does based on the talents an individual has. So as this line over here reads, role allocation according to assessed talents. If I take this ahead, this is, you all should be aware that this is a functionalist concept that was put forward by Davis and Moore. And according to Davis and Moore, the education system assesses individuals' talents through examination and qualification, right? You, as a student, you get to give exams, and your talent and qualification is assessed through that. Now, when you're giving examinations, when you're testing students, you're ensuring that the most skilled are allocated to the most important jobs in the economy. And when you're ensuring that the most skilled are allocated to the most important jobs in the economy, this eventually increases productivity and ensures an efficient workforce. So I could write this down for you as well, real quick. Let's hope it does not take a lot of time. We could write the education system assesses individuals' talents through examination, ensuring that the most skilled are allocated to the most important jobs in the economy. This increases productivity and ensures an efficient workforce. Now, Now, you might as well read this again. This writing something like this ensures that you're not missing a single mark. The second point over here reads, education as a commodity for profit and employment. Now, remember, these are the 2 points that I've chosen. You could possibly pick up any other point too. So while I've written Davis and Moore over here and the new right perspective or the new liberal perspective, you're not expected to write this. Okay. So if I take this ahead and write down the second point over here, I could say the education system generates profits through tuition fee or school fees, through publishing of educational material, and international students. Because if we talk about the UK, they generate a lot of revenue through international students. You could also write down furthermore, education creates employment opportunities for teachers, for administrators, and other professionals contributing to economic growth. So this could be a perfect answer to ensure that you're not missing out a single point. Let me read this out for you real quick again. The first point over here that I wrote was education system assesses individuals' talents through examination, ensuring that the most skilled are allocated to the most important jobs in the economy. This increases productivity and ensures an efficient workforce. Number two, education system generates profits through tuition fees, through publishing of educational material, and international students. Furthermore, education system creates employment opportunities for teachers, for administrators, and other professionals contributing to the economic growth. Now, this is how you could gain a 4 out of 4 over here. And when we say you get the first mark for identification, you get the second mark for describing it. This includes both identification and description. This is how your 2 paragraphs should be like. Can I make this short? Of course, I can make this short. The education system generates profits through tuition fee, through publishing of educational material and international students. Or I could simply write the education system. I'll just remove this part. The education system. Let me just do it for you so that you know how it actually happens. Yeah, the education system creates employment opportunities. As simple as this. You do this, you're again getting a 414. There's no reason that the examiner would cut a mark. Now, moving on to the more important part that I wanted you all to understand today. Why is it that students, I mean, I think students, more students than they should, they actually underestimate the value of a 4 mark question. Remember, these points that you're receiving over here, they are just indicative content. When I say they're just indicative content, even the CI says any other relevant example could be used over here, right? Now, getting back to the actual point that I wanted to make, describe 2 examples of how education contributes to the economy. Now, do you realize this same question, this same statement, the statement, let me just mark it over here in red, education contributes towards the economy. Now, this red box that you see on the screen, the double red box, this reads, education contributes to the economy. Do you realize the same statement can be turned into an 8 mark question? Do you realize the same statement can be used for a typical 12-mark question. And not only that, but the very same statement can be used for a 26-mark question. So these points that you see over here, even when you're just reading through them carefully, you're actually preparing yourself for other questions too. So you're actually preparing yourself for this statement. You're not just preparing yourself for a 4-mark question, right? Now, for instance, if I talk about how this could be used as a how this could be used as a 8-mark question, I'll just write it down over here to help you understand this example. Now, what if this question was like this? What if this was question number 2? And remember, question number 2 looks like this, where they talk about explaining two things, right? So what if this question said, explain two ways through which education contributes to the economy. Now, if you realize, I have just used the same statement and turned it into a 8-mark question, right? Explain two ways through which education contributes towards the economy or contributes to the economy. Now, you could actually use the same content that we have put up over here and just additionally add up sociological material to it. Now, for instance, if you recall, this point was put forward by functionists, Davis and Moore. This particular point was used by the new right or the new liberal perspective or the new liberal approach, where they focus on the marketization of education system, where they focus on the commodification of the education system. So the point that I'm trying to make over here is this very statement can be turned into an 8-mark question. And not only that, the examiner could also use the very same statement for a 12-mark question. Remember, in a 12-mark question, there's a statement that you receive, and after the statement, the question always remains the same. The question would always read this: using sociological material, give two arguments against this view. Using sociological material, give two arguments against this view. This is what you get after the statement. So I'll just put this up over here, and I'm doing it all in front of you so that you know how this could actually happen. And let's say the statement over here could read, um, yeah, education or the education system fails to contribute effectively to the economy. So this could be a statement that you receive as well. Education system fails to contribute effectively to the economy. It's the same statement. I have just rephrased it in an opposite manner. And remember, for question number 3, you always get this line. The question always remains the same. This is a question. Using sociological material, give two arguments against this view. Guess what? Okay, now before that, this is a 12-mark question, just in case, right? So if you're getting a question of this sort, if you're getting a question of this nature, see, read this statement again. Education system fails to contribute effectively to the economy. So when you're giving two arguments against, you have to show that how the education system actually does not fail, right? Now, this particular 12-mark question, this is marked in terms of bands because they're asking you for two statements. Remember, they're asking you for two arguments. For each argument, you are supposed to give one clear and developed argument. I mean, I'm just highlighting the part that is essential for you because, of course, this marking scheme that I have in front of me is for another question. So the essentials over here are one clear and developed argument. You should use sociological material, concepts, theories, and evidence. Whatever the material is that you've selected, the selected material should be appropriate and should focus on the question with relevance made clear. You could, put this into 6 checkpoints for yourself as well. 1, 2, the selection of material is important. The material you're selecting is appropriate. It should be focused on the question, and it is your responsibility that you make the relevance clear. So you could turn this one clear. Clarity is 1 point. Let's just say development is another. Sociological material is the third. The selection of sociological material being appropriate, you can turn this into the fourth. The while you're writing, your focus should be on the question. This is, let's just say, the fifth, and this happens to be the sixth, the relevance made clear. So the point I'm making over here is the very same statement can be put to use. The content that you receive beneath this very same statement could be put to use through different ways. Now, how could we turn the same statement as a 26 mark question? Now, let's just say you get the question that says, evaluate the view, or I'll just show you how a typical 26 mark question looks like. See, it starts like this: evaluate the view that. Okay. Now, evaluate the view that the education system fails to contribute effectively to the economy. Now, the very same thing has been turned into a 26 mark question. And of course, when you talk about a 26 mark question, you're expected to write down points in support of this statement. You're expected to write down points against this statement. So that I could discuss perhaps in another lesson. But the point again is, do not underestimate any 4 mark question. The same statement can be used in multiple ways by the examiner. You could actually put uh, the 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 uh, the indicative content over here to use in multiple ways. Now, I hope this has been helpful. Thank you.